Hi everyone, I'm Jaime. I am a Crohn's disease patient. I'm also a caregiver and I'm an advocate. I was initially diagnosed when I was 24, almost 25 years old, but I was seeking diagnosis since I was 15 years old. After receiving the diagnosis, I was not treated properly by my physician at the time, and I still went another almost 7 years before I even remotely took the proper steps to take care of my IBD, and I suffered for it greatly. As a child, I was gaslit that all the symptoms were in my head. I had doctors who told me that teenage girls' issues, some doctors tried to blame my mom, that she had Munchausen, and that she was projecting her own issues onto my health, and therefore that I was projecting her issues to them. And all the while I was just getting sicker and sicker. But once I finally went in for that colonoscopy and endoscopy, there was visual evidence, there was pathological evidence that they were able to get on the biopsies. It was very definitive. It was Crohn's disease all the way. And then I had an answer, and I was so elated to have that answer that I was like, okay, I don't need to do anything else. I have an answer. I've been given some pills. I'm going on my merry way. I'm going to get better. But I didn't get better and didn't ask any questions because nothing else was offered as far as information from my doctor. So some of the steps that I took once I had a better understanding of what Crohn's disease is and what it meant for my life was doing research on the disease, if there were causes for it, which we still don't know, and also what the treatment types were that were available at that time. And so this all happened when I was in a horrible flare 7 years after I was diagnosed initially with Crohn's disease. And I was in very bad condition, and I was so frustrated with myself that I let it get that far, because ultimately the power was in my hands to seek better help earlier, and I didn't. So with my initial diagnosis of Crohn's disease when I was in my early 20s, the doctor gave me medication, which I never looked up. I regret that a lot now, because I would have found out that the medication given to me in my early 20s was actually for ulcerative colitis and had poor statistics for Crohn's disease. So the first question would have been, why are you giving me this medication? And maybe there was a good reason, but I was one of those statistics. I took it for 6 months and there was no change in how I was feeling on it or off of it. So he said we could stop. And then I moved away, and I didn't seek help from a new specialist. I had the ability to go to a gastroenterologist, and I kept putting it off. And my primary physician kept telling me, you really should see a gastroenterologist. And that started this whole process for me of doing a deep dive into different types of treatments, whether diet was going to help me with my symptoms or not, and also finding better resources out there who were more knowledgeable in giving me a better understanding of what was going on with my body at the time. In 2012, I was in between the age of 30 and 31, and my health just began to slide downhill. And I went from having a career and a house that I built from scratch, and furniture that I loved and had picked out, and just the whole house, from top to bottom, was me. And I did this all before I was 30, and I loved my life. I loved everything about it. And within 4 to 5 months, I lost my job. I had to put the house up for sale. I had to sell everything inside of it and move back into my parents' house because I was too sick to take care of myself. And it was in those moments of frustration where I was like, I can't put the blame on anyone else. And I took that frustration with myself and poured it into researching my condition, which is Crohn's disease and inflammatory bowel disease itself, because it is so much bigger than just something that attacks your bowels. It attacks you from head to toe. Every single organ can be impacted by this disease. And I had no idea. I am a trained journalist, and I did zero research for so long. And it took me basically losing everything to realize I could not be the only person in this position. And I found an IBD community online, and I realized I'm not alone. There are many more people out there like me. And the difference was some people didn't want to seek help. I wanted to seek help, but I also wanted to make sure that at least one person didn't have to lose their home, lose their livelihood, go into medical debt the way that I did. And I found advocacy, and it was a way for me to basically take back my power. I'm not going to say that it is easy to start any type of treatment for any type of chronic illness, but I knew that the position that my life was in 2012, losing my job, losing my house, my savings going down the toilet, literally, with medical debt, treatment was basically the only thing next to surgery that was going to help me. And I was willing to try anything. And unfortunately, there's no test right now that can tell you which treatment is going to be the best one. It's hit or miss. And also back in 2012, especially, your insurance sometimes dictates what you get to try first. And that certainly was the case for me. And it led me down a rabbit hole of actually getting sicker. And that's called step therapy. And step therapy, in my opinion, is very dangerous. And I'm disabled now because it took another year and a half to get on the treatment plan that my doctor wanted initially before insurance would even approve it. They wanted me to try some fail first options, which I was actually allergic to, and there was a medical test that could have been given for it, and they didn't do that. And had they done that, I could have avoided some really scary times. But what's done is done, and thankfully I did not give up, and I didn't walk away from the medical establishment. A new medication came out that I knew from studies that it was working really well with Crohn's disease. And the minute that it was available for Crohn's disease, my doctor did the paperwork for it. I started it, and my life began to change within days of taking it. And I'm still on it today. So that was November 2016. And here we are in December 2023. And I'm very lucky that I was a rapid responder to it. I'm still responding to it. And it unfortunately is the luck of the draw. And sometimes medicines do wear off after a while, but new therapies are coming out almost every 6 months. And studies are available too. So we're in a really good time if you have inflammatory bowel disease to find a treatment that can work for you. So one of the things that I want to share with parents, patients, caregivers for people with chronic illnesses like inflammatory bowel disease, which include Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis, is the fact that there are going to be scary times. And they may last for a while, but the good news is, and I'm speaking from personal experience, things do get better. It may take a little while to find the right therapy, to possibly undergo a few surgical procedures, to find the right doctor or specialist, because there is a difference between an IBD specialist and a generalist who's a gastroenterologist. So finding that right medical healthcare provider for you is also key to this. But once you find the right combination of caregiver, healthcare provider, and medication or surgery, it is amazing what can happen in your life once you are able to reclaim your power. So I hope that when I mention how bad things were in 2012 for me, that people can also think that in 2018, I was healthy enough to get married. In 2020, I was healthy enough to even consider family planning. In 2021, we had our daughter. And while I was on treatment, I stayed on treatment. And I was able to remain on treatment even after having a C-section. So things can get better. Things can be done while you're on immunosuppressive therapies, and you can thrive.